Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm John Connolly, the Director of International Space University's Space Studies Program. I'd like to welcome each of you to this year's closing ceremony. SSP15 began 9 weeks ago with a procession of 99 participants, each entering behind the flags of their individual countries. So I'd like to begin this afternoon by again introducing those participants. The International Space University Space Studies Program class of 2015, led by their class representative, Idriss Ciciad of France, who will be carrying the ISU flag. Please welcome the class of SSP15. Thank you. I just finished writing a short retrospective of this summer, and I began with the sentence, "Time passes quickly when you're in the company of good friends." It seems almost impossible that only 9 weeks ago, each of you were arriving at Adams Hall to begin the registration process for this 2-month space endurance test that we've put you through. None of you, or very few of you, knew anyone else in your class, and some of you had heard rumors of what you might experience at ISU. But here we are, 9 weeks later, 100 new friends later, almost 0 sleep later, and hopefully you're all exhausted, exhilarated, and wanting for more. This program takes 100 strangers from 30 different countries, and through an intense experience of the SSP, creates many lifelong friends and changes us all in the process. SSP leaves everyone who experiences it energized, hopeful for the future, and again, yearning for more. The Space Studies program is unique in all of education. It's part academic, part networking, and part intercultural social experiment. Here at Ohio University, in the small town of Athens, It introduced everyone to how most of America lives and is educated. We experienced Middle America at its finest, from the friendly townspeople and scenic countryside to a welcoming college town that brewed a special beer just for us. We were brought together by a common bond, the belief that space is the answer and that it transcends national boundaries, cultures, and technical expertise. And for 9 weeks, we made Athens, Ohio, the center of the space universe. Due in large part to the hard work of our Ohio University hosts, this SSP intertwined with the local community like no other SSP has ever done before. Everyone from employees of Walmart, which you visited often, to the Ohio president knew that ISU was in town for the summer, and you literally could not walk across campus or uptown without seeing an ISU banner or sign. People drove from neighboring states to hear astronaut panels, the NASA administrator, and public speakers. ISU was on local television, on the radio, and in the newspapers almost every day. As the SSP15 community, we stood in the world's largest vacuum chamber, under the wings of stealth bombers, and we visited with astronauts and dignitaries. We learned each other's cultures, ate each other's food, drank each other's drink, and danced each other's dance. And through all of this, we were transformed from a group of individuals who entered the SSP under the flag of each of our countries to members of a family who now stand together with the ISU flag. As you head back to your respective countries, to your respective homes, you'll find the world a much different place. Life will happen in slow motion compared to what you've experienced here over the last 9 weeks. The intense conversations that you've had with colleagues while here at SSP may not happen as frequently back in the real world. You've joined a new family, the ISU family. And one thing that families do is they get together and celebrate as often as they can. I'll be in Strasbourg next month for the 20th anniversary of our first master's program. Over 80% of the graduates from that first master's class have signed up to attend this reunion, and that's just amazing. They are a good example of how classes at ISU stick together over time. And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I hope to see this class just as tight. So now you're part of the ISU family. Go for it, spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell your neighbors about what you've experienced. And above all, stay in contact with one another. No one knows the experience you've been through as well as the friends who now sit on your left and on your right. Of course, everything we've done here wouldn't be possible without the generous support of space agencies, commercial partners, and individuals. And I'd like to take a minute, once again, for a final time to thank all of them. First, our enduring thanks to our host institution, Ohio University, and especially the Russ College of Engineering and Technology. ISU has received the warmest of welcomes from the entire Ohio community, and for that we're grateful. So I'd like to especially thank Ohio President Roderick McDavis and his staff, Ohio Executive Vice President and Provost Pam Benoit and her staff, and especially Russ College Dean Dennis Irwin for his decade-plus space odyssey to bring ISU here to Ohio. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you also to the Russ College staff and the Ohio Local Organizing Committee and the over 120 administrators, IT professionals, dining hall staff, drivers, communication professionals, Adams Hall staff, library and security staff, and many more. It takes a lot of people to make an SSP as successful and as smooth as this one has been. Thank you to City of Athens Mayor Paul Wheel and his staff, as well as the staffs of the University Courtyard, the International Women's Air and Space Museum, the Great Lakes Science Center, and the Ohio Aerospace Institute. And I'd also like to thank our partners. Thank you to NASA's John H. Glenn Research Center for being our space agency partner and hosting us so graciously at their Lewis Field and Plumbrook facilities. Thank you also to our major sponsors from the French Space Agency, the Chinese Space Agency, the European Space Agency, the Indian Space Research Organization, the Lockheed Martin Corporation, the Aerospace Corporation, the Boeing Company, and the UK Space Agency. Without all of you, this couldn't happen. I'd now like to introduce one of the founders of International Space University, Dr. Bob Richards. Bob is a space entrepreneur and futurist. He's a co-founder of ISU, co-founder of Singularity University, the Students for the Exploration and Development of Space, the Space Generation Foundation, and currently he's the CEO of Moon Express. Bob chairs the Space Commerce Committee of the Commercial Spaceflight Federation, and he's a member of the International Institute of Space Law. He is an evangelist for the New Space movement and has been a catalyst for a number of commercial space ventures. He's the recipient of numerous awards, author of numerous publications, and most importantly, our founder, friend, and inspiration. Please help me welcome Dr. Bob Richards.
Wow. Wow. Imagine a thing to be and set about to make it so. Imagine a thing to be and set about to make it so. Einstein said that, and it's been a phrase that's been with me for a long time. I like to think when Captain Picard says, make it so every time on the Enterprise, that's what he means. We set about to make so an institution that would attract the brightest, the most amazing people, a microcosm of what's best in humanity, to a beacon called the International Space University. When Peter, Todd, and I were students, nothing like this existed. You know, you could go to different universities like we did and study policy or study space science or study engineering. But nowhere could you come and find the interdisciplinary nature of what space actually is. And nowhere could you find the people from around the world that you wanted to create that future with. So ISU really continues to stand after all these years as a place where we make friends, where we come together. And all of you have now gone through an experience that will not just change you, but will change the future, not just of your own lives and the friends that you've made here this summer, but of all of us. We're living in an era unprecedented. We're about to embark as a spacefaring species with ISU and our now over 4,000 soon alumni, including you, helping truly make humanity an interplanetary and multi-world species, where life, capital L, in all of its manifestations, is respected and enabled. And as we carry ourselves into space, we're carrying all of what makes us human and all of planet Earth's DNA with us as we replicate this microcosm of life in the universe, which hopefully is not alone, but we don't yet know. And for all these years, we have so many amazing people, the space mafia that we're creating together, creating this future together. I know we have at least one person in this audience from 1988, Madhu. Where is he? There he is. Look at this man, right? Is anybody else from that class? Stand up, Madhu. 1988, our very first. And we're still alive. That's right. We're the fuzzy mammals, though. We're not those dinosaurs that you think you are. I am just so thrilled to be with you today, to share this experience with you. Prepare for the emotion, because this really is a reemergence into the real world, as John called it. I'm proud to stand here representing Peter Diamandis and our sadly departed Todd Hawley, in just congratulating you for the enormous amount of energy and passion that you put into this summer. You know, some people out there think they know what it's like to work hard. No, they don't. They don't know you guys. They don't know what you're going to be accomplishing. I really look forward. I know I'm going to be working with some of you, and I know that I'm going to be working as collegial, co-spirited individuals with all of you as we reach out to the stars together with wisdom and with effort. Welcome, welcome to the ISU family. Congratulations for your accomplishments today. And don't stop now, because we have to keep reaching for those stars. Thank you very much.
Moving on now, I'd like to once again introduce our host and the person most responsible for bringing ISU to Ohio University. Dennis Irwin, Dean of the Russ College of Engineering and Technology, has been the driving force behind ISU being here this year. Words fail me to express the gratitude that we owe Dennis for all he has done to bring this program to the university and to his college. So, with words failing me, please help me welcome and thank Dean Dennis Irwin for the hospitality of his university and his generous support of this summer's Space Studies program. Dennis.
Well, it's going to be hard to follow, Bob, John, and I'm pretty emotional. I knew this was going to happen. It's 9 weeks, and 9 weeks ago, you heard me say that your lives would be changed, and now you know. I'm not going to ask whether it has or not. I don't have to ask. I know it has. I've seen it happen. I've seen your interaction with me. But how could it not be changed? You all dined together over 100 times, sometimes with astronauts, sometimes with world leaders in the space community, and always with people with an intense and common interest in space. Most of you have experienced an entirely new culture and a very unique part of that culture here in Athens, as you may realize one of these days. And you've seen where a disproportionate number of America's spacefarers grew up. You've learned to work on your common purpose with people from other cultures, countries, and disciplines, and I know from the results, the TPs in particular, how very successfully you've learned to do it. In my years of involvement with SSP, I noticed and usually experience barriers that participants often faced, things like long daily and difficult commutes, extreme heat with no air conditioning in residences or academic buildings, absentee hosts, miles to the nearest store, and indifferent food quality and availability. Over 150 people at Ohio University and in the Athens community have worked behind the scenes and with you to provide you with an environment where you could concentrate on outer space, not living space and working space. You had your own beer, you had your own concerts, you had your own baseball games, your own local food, your own tour of 2 NASA facilities, your own dining hall, your own residence hall, and your own academic buildings. And the reason for that was so that you could concentrate on the outer space and not the living space. Our goal was to remove the barriers, and I hope we've been successful. I know you've met my expectations, and I think, really I know, that you've shocked my less well-versed colleagues locally who were not familiar with ISU with your energy, talent, and adventurous spirit. SSP will never be forgotten at Ohio University and in Athens, Ohio. For us, it's been awesome, and I hope for you it's been awesome. As you know, in Athens, we don't build spacecraft, we don't build space boosters, we don't train astronauts, but we have hosted SSP, and we think that's important. That's our contribution. In talking to your director, John, a few nights ago, he pointed out that every SSP has its own unique lore. Sometimes it's a bit different for different groups of people, even within a particular SSP. In Thailand, I myself remember our very own little beer garden. Imagine that for those of you who know my love for beer. In Vancouver, I remember rain. Sorry, Vancouver. In Bremen, I seem to recall a spaceship-shaped building. In Barcelona, Las Ramblas, and the heat, always the heat. And so what will our lore be? Well, I thought about what might be my own personal lore, how I'll remember when everything else fades in my memory about SSP15. Will it be the astronaut panel and my time with Jack Smith? Will it be the rocket launch? It'll certainly be in there. Will it be the awesome opening ceremony reception? Or will it be John and Doug Hamilton's outstanding discussion of the human side of the Columbia accident? Doesn't really matter. There's always something to remember. So you can, when meeting fellow SSP15 participants in the future, and the faculty and staff, complete the sentence, remember at SSP15 in Athens, when, with your own personal lore. As I said, well over 100 people locally and at least that many from all over the world have helped make SSP15 awesome. But there are three who deserve, or several, that deserve high honors and what I would like to think of as the Order of the Extremely Awesome. John Connolly of ISU and NASA. John, stand up and let's give you a big hand. We may have removed the barriers here, but he really made it an awesome program. It wouldn't have been as awesome without him. I think I've used up my allotment of awesomeness. Steve Riesbeck of the Russ College. Steve. Nikki Ohms of Event Services. Is Nikki here? No? Well, yeah, these are the behind-the-scenes people. These are the people that make everything work. I could go to Nikki and say, I need Walter Hall number 235, and I need you to kick everybody out for 9 weeks. And she would be sitting there with her laptop, and by the time I finished the sentence, she would say, it's been done. And that's how we made this work. Joe Lally and Dwayne Starkey of Facilities and Information Technology. The reason you didn't have construction going on everywhere you needed to walk was because Joe Lally actually was working behind the scenes with a plan to make sure that there was always a way for you folks to get expeditiously from Adams Hall to Shively, from Shively to Walter, from Walter to the Arc. We couldn't have done it without any of them. Ultimately, though, at an institution the size of Ohio University, and since it's an educational institution in the U.S., politics rules. And the barriers I mentioned don't go away without support at the very top. There could have been delays, there could have been forgetfulness, there could have been pushback. That didn't happen. Actually, the only time in my 28-year career at Ohio University that it hasn't. So I know where that came from. So I'd like to give my deepest thanks to President McDavis and my own boss, Executive Vice President and Provost Pam Benoit, who made it clear that SSP 15 was everyone's most important task this summer. So John already used the go forth phraseology, but go forth and continue to increase the awesome. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I think that used up our allotment of the word awesome for the evening. So let's see, I'll have to change some of my remarks now. It's amazing when we look at what the alumni of ISU are doing. We're very fortunate this afternoon to have one of our alumni from SSP 96 in Vienna, who will be our keynote speaker. Robie Samanta Roy was just one of you guys in 1996 when we were in Vienna. But now he's the Vice President of Technology and Innovation for Lockheed Martin. He supports the Chief Technology Officer there for corporate-wide technology investments. He also works with Lockheed's university programs to foster and transition research from leading U.S. research universities. Prior to joining Lockheed Martin, Dr. Samanta Roy worked as a congressional staffer, overseeing the Department of Defense's wide spectrum of science and technology-related activities, including DARPA. He came to that position from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, where he was the Assistant Director for Space and Aeronautics from 2005 to 2009. Dr. Samanta Roy earned his bachelor's, master's, and PhDs in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT. He earned a master's degree in space policy from John Logston's George Washington University, and diplomas from ISU and the Institut d'études politiques de Paris. Please help me welcome this evening your fellow alumni and our good friend, Dr. Robie Samanta Roy.
All right, John, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Congratulations, everybody. 19 years ago, I was in your shoes, and I'm thinking back, the mix of emotions, the elation of finishing this very hard, challenging problem of graduating in this multidisciplinary international university setting. Also, the element of meeting roughly 100 students too. At that time, it was about 20 different countries. And the mixed emotions, the bittersweet emotions of, parting with some very close friends that you knew sometimes you would probably never see again. And this is 2 decades ago when there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't ways of actually staying in touch with each other. We had books with people's addresses. And yes, there was email back then, but we all were issued a book where you could actually stay in touch with folks. So it's an amazing opportunity to be able to, and I'm really honored to be able to talk to you here today, this afternoon, and talk to you a little bit about essentially what impact ISU made on my life and in my professional development. And what I'd like to do is talk about in 3 basically categories how ISU can make a difference in your life. Number 1 is on the educational, the academic side. So we all know that we come from various disciplines. We're either a technical engineer, a scientist, a lawyer, a business person, and we're introduced to this broad spectrum of other disciplines, and it broadens our horizons. I met John Logston in ISU, and it compelled me to actually explore not just the technical side of space, which I was well versed in, but the policy side. And the fact that I was going to ultimately get a master's degree from his program really gave me the credentials, if you would, to get into the government policy arena that ultimately led to the positions that I had. So that was really important to understand. I know you just scratched the surface, but at least you get exposed to the other disciplines that are important and are vital in space. The second aspect is that of professional networking. You will meet colleagues, you're meeting your friends, that can be lifetime colleagues, if you will, on a professional level. You're now networking, NASA, JAXA, ESA, the Chinese Space Agency, all these other entities, academic, industry. You've built a professional network. You have an entree into this global network of many, many different alumni. And what's important is because you will have these networks to other disciplines that may help you in your career. Ultimately, the other important thing is that the professional, the lifelong, enduring professional and personal relationships that you will grow are going to be very important. 2 decades later, I still remain in touch with some friends, very close friends. And the interesting thing about ISU is you've now built a global bed and breakfast network. The innovation of ISU was, well before Airbnb, you could go and have a global bed and breakfast network. That's an amazing thing. So specifically, let me in those 3 categories give a little bit more detail of how ISU helped. So as I said, from a space policy perspective, I think it was important as a technical person to really understand the impact that policy has, that this merging, the bridging between a technical field and a policy field, because ultimately these 2 elements combine to determine the ultimate goals, objectives of space programs and organizations, as well as the budgetary side. And it was very important to understand and to bridge these 2 gaps. In other words, to be a translator from these various communities. And this was very helpful because after I left ISU, in a few years, I joined the Congressional Budget Office, where I actually did a lot of the budgetary analysis on the vision for space exploration, for NASA's vision for space exploration. And it was really interesting to understand those policy and budgetary applications. A few years later, I joined the Office of Science and Technology Policy. I was a staff for the President's Science Advisor, 3 years under President Bush and 1 year under President Obama. And it was amazing. I still remember helping to create the event that celebrated the 40th landing of the Apollo landing, the first Apollo landing in the Oval Office. These are amazing events that I'll still always remember. The other important thing is that I've now joined recently with Lockheed, and I've been able to now get back to you, insight and management of various technical programs that ultimately relate to our broader aerospace community. And so this thread of going from policy and engineering and technology is something that really is an important underlying facet of our ISU community, the fact that it is multidisciplinary. The other element of our incredible network that you will develop and have to take advantage of is the fact that even when I went to the White House, et cetera, all the linkages that I had made with the other international space agencies, those were very beneficial. And to this day, a couple of years ago, I walked into an International Astronautical Federation meeting, and I saw one of my former instructors there, Dr. Maria Perino. And it was like, wow, 18 years ago, we had these wonderful classes, and these are these networks and connections that are going to really be beneficial to you professionally. And I think at the end of the day, the other important element is that given that you're 30 countries that were represented, you've learned how to act as a team. The world is going flat. Global cooperation is the norm. And the ability to work together from a different cultural perspective. You all know the symbol, to slow down, right? To slow down, to understand each other's perspectives is very, very important. Lastly, just to reinforce the personal connections, these lifelong friendships that you have are going to be very, very important to you from an international perspective. And so keep in touch with those folks. A couple other things that I'd like to mention in a couple minutes is, 2 decades later, how has the world changed? From when I was in your shoes, graduating 2 decades later, the enduring principles of ISU still apply, and in some cases are even more important. The global diffusion of technology and the fact of cloud computing, continuous communication, the aspect of ubiquitous connectivity are things that are really flattening the world. And the fact that there really is no sole monopoly on space technology really in one country or a few countries. Space is becoming a leveler that all can participate in, and that gets to one of the hearts of the multidisciplinary and international aspects of ISU. The other aspect is that even though technology is going at a breakneck speed, we still have to recognize that space is something that brings us all together. And I love this quote that Buzz Aldrin gave about a year or two ago, where he's saying, I had asked for Martian colonies, and you gave me Facebook. So on one hand, we have this technology that enables us to connect. On the other hand, we still have these challenges that we have to do to push our space frontiers forward. The other element that I think that has really changed 2 decades is the fact that we have to confront the differences between realism and idealism in space. From a security space perspective, space has become more contested. It has become much more competitive. And yes, it has also become more congested. And there's a new dynamic in space. We certainly do not want it to become a domain for warfare, but it is programs like this where we can all come together and share a common vision for space that will enable us to continue the peaceful uses of space. Lastly, I think STEM education is a very important aspect across our world, and ISU plays a major role in terms of the science, technology, engineering, mathematics education, but also all the other disciplines that make sure that that entire educational ecosystem really makes sure that the best and brightest stay within the space community. And so ultimately, as you well know, the interdisciplinary, the international, and the intercultural principles of ISU that were really put forward by the founders still remain enduring principles. And this is something that you need to keep in your mind. 2 decades from now, they will still be as important. So don't forget these ISU's principles and the impact that they have on your educational, your academic, your multidisciplinary worlds. The fact that you now are being an entrant into a global professional networking and a global collaboration environment, and the fact that you have grown personal relationships that should be enduring and lifelong. So stay in touch. You don't have to use directories anymore. Facebook does exist, contrary to what Buzz Aldrin was a bit negative about. And congratulations, class of SSP15, Godspeed, and congratulations again. Thank you.
Every year, ISU, the SSP program, awards the Morla Milne Award. This award honors the memory of Morla, who had devoted her career to the Space Studies program and to ISU, but left us far too early at the age of 33. Since her passing in 2006, we've given this award to the individual with the highest overall grade for each SSP. That individual's name will be inscribed on a plaque with the others who have preceded you, and that plaque is displayed at the ISU Central Campus in Strasbourg, France. So I'd like to call up to the podium the recipient of this year's SSP15 Morla Milne Award and the highest academic average in the class, Mr. Oriol Garcia. All right, I'd like to now introduce your class speaker, Elburz Sorkhabi. Elburz is a man of many talents, music, software, media. He's even a published author. Today, we're going to add the title of rocket scientist to his resume. So please help me welcome your class speaker, Elburz Sorkhabi. I do have something for you.
Oh, do you?
Okay. Oh, wow, look at that. Do we look good? Awesome. Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Before I get started, I'd like to welcome our class representative, Idris Sisaid, for a few words as well.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you. I will try to keep this message very short. Well, first of all, I'm extremely delighted to be your class representative and even more honored to be part of this wonderful SSP15. As part of my duties, I will make sure that for the years to come, we all stay in touch and that the relationships that we have been building over this summer never fade away. I will send you my ideas on how to do that and give you some tips to how to strengthen our great network. We'll have numerous occasions to meet again in the near future, and I will do my best to keep you updated on these opportunities. This SSP is not over, and with your help, it will never end. It is just the beginning, and we'll keep on increasing the awesome altogether. Thank you.
I remember arriving on my plane a little later than I expected, and everyone was outside waiting at the bus. I didn't know if I would fit in, so I sat at the front, alone on my telephone. I remember getting off the bus, grabbing my things quickly, shuffling inside to my room. I was a little nervous when I saw 2 beds, as I didn't really want to share a room for 9 weeks. Looking back, it's all a blur, really. The next thing I remember, we were all in Shively, and we all had to get up and introduce ourselves for a few minutes. I tried to think of something interesting to say, as everyone else was introducing themselves as astrophysicists, rocket scientists, masters in this and PhDs in that. I knew these were the smartest people I've ever been around. It came my turn, and I famously said I was a storyteller, and I believed we were all here to make future stories in outer space. I believe that even more now that I've had the chance to meet you all. I remember all of us in Walter Hall sitting in our lectures. It feels like so long ago. It's quite incredible to think back that there was a time where we all sat together in one room doing the same thing. It's a time I think we all took for granted, as once we went into our departments and our team projects, we became smaller and smaller groups working on very specific things. I remember getting my department choice and being excited to get my hands dirty, and I did with an amazing group of people. I remember sitting in our team project rooms for one of the first times and trying to brainstorm what we were actually going to talk about in Vision 2040. One person would have an idea, the second person would add to it, the third person would reword it, and then the fourth person would reword the rewording again. And it went like this for hours. I remember that, how carefree we were. I don't know if you noticed, but all these memories, they're about people. They're about us and each other. We came here for Space University, but we will remember each other. I miss the times in Walter Hall when we were slightly freezing and slightly curious. I miss looking around Walter Hall to see all 100 of you every morning and afternoon. I miss trying to see if any of you were sleeping so we could snap a picture for later. I miss Tiago's daily news, and I miss the walk through the park between Walter Hall and Shively. I miss having astronaut panels, distinguished speakers at night, when we all still had time to sit together and think about ideas and dreams. I miss the departments when we decided it was time to specialize ourselves in something new. I will miss the ups and downs of our team projects, the tensions, our group hugs, the dinner meetings. I'll even miss our Google Forms. In reality, after today, you will never sit in Walter Hall again. You will never eat at Shively again. You will never be in the Ark again. You will never have Tiago's daily news again. You will never have a time in your life again when you had core lectures in the morning, department activities in the afternoon, and a team project meeting over dinner. But you will always have each other. We're a family now. You now have family spread all over the world, the smartest and most talented family you could ever have. A family of professionals across many industries, a family you can ask if you ever need help, and a family you can share your successes with. A family you can visit on your vacations around the world, and a family you'll surely see in newspaper headlines as we progress through our careers. So never forget that whomever you are and wherever you're going, we're all going there together now. We are the generation that is going to fly deep into space, and our voices will echo off infinity back down to Earth. Welcome to being an ISU alumni. We are family now. Thank you. You're all beautiful, and I love all of you.
I'd like to call to the podium now the president of the International Space University, Dr. Walter Peters, for some special awards.
Good afternoon. I see some panic in the eyes. Another speaker. I guess depending on your mood, some of you think, God, my food is going to get warm. But I think most of you think, no, my beer is going to get warm. And that's even worse. Now, I'm not here as a speaker. Don't worry. In fact, what I wanted to do is, before I give you a reward or a diploma, I would like to leave something behind to two very important people, already mentioned by John. But I still want to have something physical given to them. And therefore, my first person I would like to invite, as you maybe already can imagine, is Dennis Irwin. Dennis was the man who made this, possible. And as a little token from ISU, on behalf of ISU for all this, I have a very special gift for you, which is a personalized medal, which I hope finds a nice place on your desk, Dennis.
You can bet on it.
Dennis?
Okay, thanks very much.
Now, there's one thing which always surprised me when I worked in Russia. You know, I was working with an astronaut business in Russia. I always wondered my counterparts, which were 2, 3-star generals, on the right side, they were full of medals. And I really wondered, I got 2 medals when I was years and years in the army. Where the hell did they get all these medals from? Afterwards, it became very clear. When there was a successful flight, the cosmonauts came back, the cosmonauts got a handshake, and the general got a medal. And that's something which I learned. And I think I wanted to a little bit change that tradition. And this time I want to give a medal to somebody who did a lot for you, a lot for us in ISU. Irwin already mentioned it, so can I call, it's a little bit against the hierarchy, Dennis, but I think you will forgive me. Can I call Stephen to the podium? Okay, and now we give the reward to the rest of the group, and over to John again.
Now we have something for each of you. We're going to present now the certificates. I'd like Walter and Bob to join me on the stage, and for Joyan also. And we'll bring you up on the stage through the right-hand side there in the order that you're seated. And we'll have Tiago announce your names.
Give me the sign off. Yeah?
I think we're ready for number 1.
Okay. We start with Idris Seaside. Elburz Sorkhabi. Bora Aliai. Majed Al-Muslami. Rasmus Beckman. Laura Bietol. Nathan Brooks. Hugh Byrne. Toby Cull. Cao Shu Yun. Mike Chen. Ryan Clement. Catherine Kreiderman. Hugo Simões. Cristina De Persis. Tishu Dimitrov. Marius Eid. Carlos Utrila. Fang Zheng. Lucas Farian. Jonathan Full. François Ferret. Ellen Freeman. Michael Fryer. Oriol Garcia. Marianne Girard. Nama Glober. Fernando Gonzalez. Daisuke Goto. Rémi Gourdon. Vera Gutmann. Lars Oving. Ala Hussein. Ji Shitao. Jia Yushan. Li Shanwu. Li Lan. Maria Rimbassen. Niti Madugiri. Daniel Matter. James McWright. Wendy Menzink. Micaela Muzilova. Praveen Nair. Shrirup Nambiar. Yoshiko Nanao. Roy Naur. Louis Neofitu. Corey Newman. Ansley Norutun. Didun Obilanad. Marta Ochoa. David Ogden. Marta Oliveira. Ouyang Shangrong. Hitendra Padalia. Daniele Paglialunga. Jacopo Panerati. Joana Pardo. Umang Parikh. Imanshu Patel. Thomas Pearson. Isan Marti. Susan Peters. Shaiha Pila. Arno Llorente. Daniel Potster. Orla Punch. Jessica Reinhardt. Antônio Bosque. Matthew Rhodes. Oshri Rozenek. Coco Juan. Fábio Teixeira. Nicola Schmidt. Semyon Semyonov. Doron Sterman. Peter Skankman. Skanke. Martin Slagers. Anushri Soni. Andrea Genaro. Parker Stratton. Nicholas Straskowski. Adam Svatos. Yairayu Tirumani. Reinhard Lustus. Tatsunari Tomiyama. Julien Vigouroux. Annie Wen. Tom Williams. Wu Xiaoyun. Sao Yaima. Yang Yu Jung. Yang Yu Chin. Yang Lei. Yao Shigang. And finally, Zhu Wei. Congratulations, everyone.
Okay, just took the space elevator, quick way down. So, you all have your certificates. Maybe it's time to look forward a little bit. I'd like now to introduce a representative for next year's Space Studies program, SSP15 in Haifa, Israel. Michal Jashinsky is one of our alumna from last year who was born and raised in Haifa. She's an aerospace engineer, master's student at the Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, where she's researching satellite cluster flight control. As a native daughter of Haifa And as a student of Technion, Michal is the perfect alumni representative on the organizing committee of SSP15. So I'd like to invite to the podium to talk about next year's SSP in Israel, Michal Jashinsky.
Thank you, John, for the nice words. So, as John mentioned, I'm an SSP alumnus. So I very much know what you're all going through this summer in general and this day in particular, and I know how excited you probably are. For me, SSP14 was an enlightening and a life-changing experience, and I can only imagine it will be as such for most of you guys. I'm a master's student at the Aerospace Faculty of the Technion, Israeli Institute of Technology. So after being in SSP, going back to Israel and being a part of the organizing committee back there was just a natural thing for me to do. As a person who knows what the SSP participants expect for, I can assure you that Israel, Haifa, and the Technion could definitely live up to it. Israel is a very diverse place which can offer a lot of cultural activities, such as holy places, historical places, and cultural interesting stuff, and much more. On Israel's shore, you can find on the south the Red Sea. You can find the Dead Sea in the east, the Sea of Galilee in the north, and the Mediterranean Sea, of course, in the west. So you can expect many beaches and diving sites to explore and to have fun at. On top of that, Haifa is one of the biggest and most interesting cities in Israel. It is a coexistence, mixed city, which can offer you to explore the lives of different religions and different cultures. It has a great nightlife, a great hiking trails within it, and also fun beaches to spend the summer at. The Technion, which is located at Haifa, the Technion, which is located at Haifa, is one of the leading universities in the world, and it offers many different studies about space. Among them, you can find the Distributed Space Systems Lab, Electrical Propulsion Systems, Space Interferometry, Astrophysics, Cosmology, and more. So I hope our labs could excite some of you at least. Other than the Technion, Israel holds of many different space companies. Among the biggest ones, you can find Israel Aerospace Industries and Rafael, which together develops and manufactures whole satellites, including all their parts and systems. So you can be sure we are planning for you many interesting tours. You can see big vacuum chambers, interesting clean room with all the integration of the different systems, and even the whole satellites and the integration of it different stages. Among those satellites, you can find the Amos communication satellites, the Eros observation satellites, and much more. Moreover, Israel is known as a startup nation and is the home of many successful entrepreneurs. So many interesting evening panels and lectures will be probably part of your schedule. So I hope I excited you, and I made you excited to come, be lecturers, and be TAs, or whatever you feel like it, and tell your friends, come to Israel and to SSP16. And I can promise you it will be a great summer, and we expect to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Wow, you could feel the end approaching. As Dennis mentioned while he was talking, every SSP has its own lore, its own stories that endure over time. Madhu told us about the toga parties of SSP 88. Some of us were present for the heat wave of SSP 03 and the International Mars Project of SSP 91, where all 137 people in the class did one team project. I think that was the last time we tried that. And some of us remember the prison food of SSP 2000. So every SSP goes down into history with its own stories. The lore of this SSP is really yet to be written. But over the coming weeks, each of you will have time to reflect back on your experience over these past 2 months and the stories will emerge. Those events, those happenings, those conversations, those feelings that you will forever carry in your memory will forever take you back to your time here at Ohio University. One bit of lore that our founder, Bob Richards, mentioned is that sitting amongst you is the 4,000th graduate of the International Space University. So to the class of the 28th Space Studies program of the International Space University, I bid you good luck, clear skies, and following winds as you journey to your homes. Our farewell, however, is only temporary, because in the ISU world, it's a necessary step before we can meet again in the future, at some time, at some place, on some world. With that, I officially close SSP15, 28th Space Studies program hosted by Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. Thank you all for joining us this special afternoon, and you're all invited to please join us in rooms 240 and 242, just down the hallway, for a closing ceremony reception. As we depart this auditorium, I'd like all the members of the class of SSP15 to stay right here for a special presentation as our guests file out. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Ohio, for a very special SSP15.